Still waiting for a big smile out of you. You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Bricks Blazing Takes. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you here with me. I appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Welcome back to Blazing Black, baby. Give you the ins and outs, what's going on in SimWorld. I am Rick Blaze. I am your host of the show, of course, Blazing Black. Yesterday, we talked about part one of the Race to One conference tournament, and we talked about the Legacy Conference. I said what I had to say. Marsh said what he had to say. Some of you guys agreed. Some of you guys disagreed. Well, here we are, baby. Part two, to do some more cussing and discussing about who we think is going to win. Today, we talk about the Legend Conference, and the Legend Conference is a doozy. I call it Murderous Row all year long with the Legend Conference. I have my guest back with me, part two. I had to twist his arms. I had to do a whole bunch of things because Marsh is a stubborn SOB. But nevertheless, I got him back. I got to give him a 2-week supply of ceviche. I don't know how that's going to work, but nevertheless, it is what it is. Marsh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you having me back.
So we're going to dive right into it. The Legend Conference, 1 through 8, 4 through 5, 3 through 6, 2 through 7. We're going to take the same format as yesterday. We're going to start 1 through 8. You are my guest. I will let you go first. We have Southeast Select versus Lone Star. Who you got?
I think this one is tough to pick because Lone Star was really good at one point in time, right? They were a team contending for a top 2 seed, let alone a top 4 seed, and then they lose 5 straight games headed into the playoffs. And one of my biggest concerns is in any sport is that winning streaks and losing streaks always end. And I understand the value, which is, hey, hot take coming at you. But my challenge is that they always end, and I don't know that I buy entering the playoffs on a winning or losing streak being a positive, because statistics tell us eventually you are going to lose. So Southeast Select coming in winners of 5 straight, history tells us and statistics tells us a loss is growing in logical or statistical probability the next time that they play. Meanwhile, Lone Star's lost 5 straight games, and statistically, they should be more likely to win their next game than lose it. So they're coming in from 2 totally different ends. I really am nervous about it, but I actually am going to take Southeast. And I don't know why I'm nervous considering they're the top team in the league. I'm taking them because Trey Turner. I'm taking them because this is still a basketball team that's got a lot of good pieces on it. But where I get nervous from this team is if Trey Turner is just not even not good, if he's just not great, if he's good for a night, that's where this team has their issues. And there's a lot of pieces for Lone Star in Jason Miguez, who I've been high on for a while, Minnie Gibson, who you just hope to turn it around, but just has struggled recently. If those guys get going, there's a very real chance Lone Star wins this game. I'm not going to take them. I kind of sound like I'm almost giving myself an out here. I'm taking Southeast Select, but I do not think this is an easy 1-8 game by any stretch of the imagination.
I totally couldn't concur. This Lone Star team looked phenomenal more than halfway through the season. And all of a sudden, they look like they couldn't play basketball anymore these last stretch of the season. You don't forget how to play basketball. I know that to be true. I don't know what funk they're in. I don't know what's caused the funk. But like you said, they're dying to bust out at some point in time. I would not be the bit surprised if Lone Star pulls this win out. I'm going to go with SCS only because in the beginning of the season, I said they're going to be one of those teams that's going to go really far. And so I'm not going to backtrack on what I said earlier. I'm not going to let my current self let my previous self down. So I'm going to stick with my original statement back in the way the beginning of the season when I predicted and I thought Keandre Baldry was going to be a beast. He hasn't been back that time ago. I said SCS is one of those teams that can go top Final Four really easy. So I'm going to stick with that predicament. But trust me, if I had to place a bet,
I'll be betting money-wise on Lone Star for this game just because the payout is way better than the odds that they're getting right now on this game, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're always better if you're trying to just make the most money, typically, to bet the underdog. But this is a team that just – what am I supposed to believe, okay? Like, since May 18th, they've won 2 games since then.
Yeah.
But they have guys on their team that won 14 games to begin the season through the first month and a half, 2 months. That's still there. Just for whatever reason, Ninny Gibson has become a shell of himself. Tyrell Marr hasn't produced. But at the same time, like, they could theoretically bump out of it because we've seen that happen. It just – the reason I feel more confident in Southeast Select is because it's an elongated, strugglesome couple months for Lone Star. It's not like they've just been playing bad for 1 month like an Originators has been. But at the same time, like you said, if there's money to be had on Lone Star, that's where I would put it, just because – they do have maybe the best chance to pull an upset among teams that you wouldn't consider to be likely favored.
This matchup has the 93, 94 Denver Nuggets written all over it.
Mm-hmm.
When Mutombo, the AC, beat the number 1 seed, I think, of Seattle.
Right.
This has that written all over it. Again, I'm only picking Southeast Select because I went with them at the beginning of the season. If I was picking today and didn't make that statement at the beginning of the season, I probably, more than likely, I'm thinking Lone Star win this 55-45 tilt in my perspective. I'm only going to go with it because I'm not going against myself. But trust me, if I didn't say that earlier this year, I definitely would have had Lone Star as my first upset for Legend Conference. All right, cool. Let's move on. Second game, number 2, Best Coast versus APAC. And it is what it is, fellas. I can't wait to say it. Prediction. I predict upset. I think this APAC team is on a heater. Best Coast. I understand the Lace Darius talk. He's a phenomenal player. But if you're Best Coast, the only way I can be more confident of you beating APAC is if you had the number 1 player on that team, which is Bronny. The only way I'm confident like that against this APAC team, because they're looking really good right now. And they have something that Best Coast does not have, and that's 3 bona fide scorers on their team. Best Coast don't have that. And I'm talking about 3 bona fide scorers who can get their own shots. Best Coast doesn't have that. Everything has to go through Lace Darius. And for that reason alone, Best Coast been kind of struggling. APAC got some momentum going. I got upset city time, baby. I got number 7 APAC beating up on Best Coast in this round.
So the funny part that I don't think people, when we did the head-to-head picks earlier in the year, we both gave each other like the picks that we were taking. And the ironic part of that was that we had a lot of picks very similar. Correct. Now you had a couple that you differed from me on. You ended up, winning that little battle. But for the most part, I think we only picked differently on maybe 3 or 4 spots.
Yes, something like that, yeah.
So I say that I thought I was going to have a nice little, I'm going to get him on this one. But no, I think Asia Pacific is going to win. I have been out on Best Coast Ballers for a while, and I'm not out on Lace Darius Outlaw. I think I've been public with this, my lack of faith in the team. I love LDO as a basketball player, but he's so inefficient because he has to take all these shots. I don't think any player with the workload that he gets and the complete lack of help, the lack of spacing, would be able to do anything different. But that's why they're not winning. They are not the same team they were at the beginning of the season when they had him and Mikey Williams going toe-to-toe. They have no support behind him. They get huge leads early in games, or just leads in general, because he goes off. And then he sits on the bench, and they have nobody to come in and help, and they lose games because of it. And then he has to start forcing shots, playing hero ball, and his statistics. I would love to see a breakdown of his field goal percentages by quarter, because I'm pretty sure he's probably shooting like 55% or above in the first quarter. I mean, he's extremely efficient, but the game wears down. He's suddenly taking 25, 30 shots per game. So I'm taking Asia Pacific. You're right. They do have 4 dudes that are averaging 9 or more points. There's a lot of faith in that aspect of it. But on the flip side of it, the lack of faith for me in Best Coast ballers sealed me on Asia Pacific in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I thought all the reasons you said it. I think there's nothing more to add to that. Number 3 versus number 6. H-Town versus Yacht Club. Who you got?
I'm going to go Yacht Club here. I think when they got Adam Max back in, they gave themselves a 3-headed group that's really good. They've played better. They kind of stumbled for a little bit after the return of Adam Max, but then since then, between Dominic Bianco, Jay Lasser, and Max, they've really found their groove. Bianco is starting to be a much better shooter from the floor. He's not taking quite as many 3-pointers as he was earlier this season, which was kind of killing his field goal percentage. And so, kind of similar to H-Town, we've seen them ebb and flow kind of dramatically very early on in the season, where they won like 7 straight games to start. Then they faded. It was kind of a question mark. Were they going to be like worthy of a top 3 seed? But they were going to get one because Yacht Club, who's in their division, wasn't good enough to catch them. And then they finished well. But to me, it's just Yacht Club has just a little bit more firepower than H-Town does on a more consistent basis, because relying on Keith and Carter has not proven to be something you can do every single time. And it's a similar argument that we had yesterday with Nick Hugo and Levin Cutler. Terrell Thompson's really good. But do you trust him to be the number 1 guy in a big game? He's their best player, but he's not the guy I'm turning to when I need a bucket late in the game.
Yeah, and for me, my pick, I'm sure this is gonna come across as a homer pick, and it probably is. I can't go against the boys. I got H-Town winning this, but I just believe H-Town's been winning really ugly lately. But I think ugly wins count too. Just like ugly people need love too. I think ugly wins count. This Yacht Club team has been so seesaw. They've been when they are up, they're up. When they're down, my brother, they are down. I don't like seesaw teams in 1-game formats. I don't like seesaw teams in playoffs. I gotta go with H-Town. I think their ugly wins has been just as good as Yacht Club's good wins, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I'm going to take the team who knows how to win big and knows how to win ugly and still get it done. I got H-Town beating the Yacht Club in this one. And I think I got Cam Jones having a breakout. Look for Cam Jones to have a breakout game for H-Town.
Okay. I mean, look, I don't disagree with you. I think H-Town has been really good. They had that 3-game winning streak in mid-July that kind of saved them from being like a seesaw team. But other than that win, they have really been a seesaw team for the last couple months. But they do have guys that can be electric. Keith and Carter can go nuts, though he's not he's their leading 3-point scorer, but he's shooting 31% from deep.
Right. That's not
they don't
good.
shoot the ball well from deep. Cam Jones is their only guy that's shooting above 40%. He's shooting 54%. So you're right. They do need him to be the guy. I think kind of similar to Lone Star, though, their lack of consistent coaching has not allowed them to really actually identify who do we have that's really good. Guess what? Cam Jones should be getting more minutes than he is. He should be getting more usage than he is. Yet he's not. I mean, your best 3-point shooter is taking just a couple of games. He should be getting Trey Turner volume of threes until he tells you or if you figure out he's not that guy. What have you got to lose? Because otherwise it's 29% from Vincent Magic, 31% from Keith and Carter, 32% from Martin Genov. Like, jeez, I'm crow, man. At this point, I don't know why he's not getting more shots.
Yeah, I think H-Town's newest coach, I think he switched up their philosophy offensively. I think they go more inside now to Tyrell Thompson than they did with the other coaches were there. So I think his philosophy has changed, which is probably the reason why those guards you mentioned are probably not getting the same type of looks. But I agree, Cam Jones need to be in there because he's your only bona fide 3-point shooter on the team. The other guys are better playmakers. But Cam Jones behind the arc can pop it. So, yeah, here we go. Last matchup, 4 versus 5. In my opinion, the real toss-up game. Did I pick first last time? You pick first.
I picked first.
Oh, that's terrible. I was hoping to pick. I set this up wrong for myself. The whole objective was for you to pick first, and I was just going to go with the team you didn't pick. I'm going to be honest with you. This game is so much of a toss-up. I literally was going to go, well, whoever he doesn't pick, I'm cool with picking the opposite. When you think about this matchup, I think this is the most intriguing matchup. You have Showtime, the new look Showtime, but they've beaten this team twice.
Mm-hmm.
They've played only twice, and they beat them both times. One time with Bronny and one time without Bronny.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, we'll go back to what you talked about on yesterday about statistically and the odds of who's ever favor. On the game you talking about earlier, the 1 versus 8. Statistically, it's very difficult to beat a team 3 times in a row.
Yep.
That doesn't go in Showtime's favor because it's more likely or more probable that Bay Area finally gets a win and become 2-1 against the team, but they become the big one by winning the playoff game. I don't know if I want to bet against Bay Area and Coach Pope 3 times in a row. I've picked Showtime both times. I don't know if I'm going to go to that wheelhouse again the 3rd time. I'll be honest with you. But I will. Let's go to the wheelhouse one more time. Let's get Showtime getting the dub over Bay Area in a very good matchup. I got Showtime for no other reason, more so than not. I think that you're going to pick Bay Area, so I think I'm safe with my pick. What do you think?
So here's the thing with this game, right? If Showtime wins, whatever happens is we're going to leave this game, we collectively, we're going to say, we knew it. We knew that was going to happen, and here's why. If Showtime wins, we're going to walk out of that arena, and we're going to say, well, of course they won. Corey Yams finally got a chance to showcase who he is, and he was a phenomenal basketball player, and he dominated this game, of course. And, of course, because Bay Area has been struggling recently. Meanwhile, if Bay Area wins, we're going to walk out and be like, well, of course they won. Showtime doesn't have Bronny James. I mean, what are we talking about? Why were we ever surprised that they were going to win this game? Because without Bronny, this team is nothing. And I think that's that's how you know the game is good, when you already know the argument for why the 2 outcomes could happen. Like, I don't think you can really do that with these other games. Like, if Bad Boys wins, there's Lorenzo Phenom went off. It would be a surprise. Correct. Right? Even if Lone Star wins, you could say, oh, yeah, of course, they had Jason McGinnis, and then he gives it. It would still be a surprise. Correct. I would not be surprised with any or either outcome from this game. But to me, I'm taking Bay Area because I do not trust that Corey Yams is going to be put in a position to dominate this game. We have seen time and time again with this Showtime team, their crutch has been, well, it's Bronny, and we're not going to go to anybody else. We saw this when they lost. I can't remember who it was against, but Israel Vine comes in and in 4 minutes scores 10 points, doesn't see the floor again for the rest of the game. We saw the first game after Bronny James, his health condition, which we'd love to hear that he's doing better now. The first game after that, Corey has like 28 shots or 28 points, 27 shots or something like that, and dominates.
And that was against Bay Area. That's the crazy part.
And then next game out, he gets 2 shots.
Right.
We have not seen any consistency in giving this team a position to win at any point in the year. It has been, and this is not just on Coach Jordan, this is back to the Chad Smith days. It is, we got Bronny. What are we worried about? Right. We're just going to play him to death. That poor phrasing of words there, I apologize. But that's
hold on, Marsh. That was a really good joke. It was in bad taste, Marsh. But I kind of liked it. I can appreciate. I'm old enough. I'm not with these new millenniums. I'm old enough to appreciate a good tasteless joke, and that, my friend, was a good yet tasteless joke. But I can appreciate it.
Well, look, it's only good because he's living right now. I mean, that's the best part is he's healthy. Whatever is next for him in basketball is secondary to what is next for him in life. But they have not figured out any other way to win. I don't love Bay Area right now because my biggest concern with them is they haven't figured out who their 1A is. I've said it before. They have a lot of 1Bs, but they don't have any 1A. But I just can't trust Showtime to actually use the arsenal of weapons that they have to any disposal. I mean, it's as if you had this cachet of it's a zombie apocalypse. You have a rocket launcher, an AK, a flamethrower, and you decide to use a pistol. It's like they just haven't utilized any of the weapons.
Let me see how this pistol going to work. Oh, well, you know what? I want to test my accuracy. I just want to use the pistol this time.
Right. I'm just going to play it around. I mean, look, it's a good pistol, right? I mean, like, it's not a bad pistol, but you're not even trying any of the other weapons that you could. You're just kind of be like, yeah, I've used this before when somebody tried to break into my house or something like that. I'm just going to do it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Probably not the best choice with a horde of zombies coming at you.
So you're saying that Coach Joyner is going to elect to use the pistol in the matchup when he should use the flamethrower or the automatic?
Well, he doesn't even have the pistol at his disposal right now, so he might just go fist first and see what happens. I don't know.
Coach Joyner, just throw grenades, baby. Just go all grenades. Throw grenades, cover your ears, and turn your head.
Right. Hope they don't get through one. That's it.
All right, here we go. That's our matchups. That's who we think gonna win, who's gonna lose. Let's cuss and discuss. Put it in the chat. Marsh, as always, it's a pleasure, brother, doing this. We have to do this again, man. We'll take a look at what round 2 looking like. You guys put in your comments how you feel. What do you feel? We agree or disagree. Tell us who you think is going to win. Marsh, any last words?
No, appreciate you having me on. I'm excited that we're finally getting to this point in the season. The regular season is great. The last 2 weeks of the regular season, I'm not telling people not to watch, but it can be tough to go through when so much is decided. So I'm excited that we've got meaningful, impactful basketball back on the menu.
Absolutely. I'm ready. I'm locked in. Let's get to it. See you guys tomorrow.